is Chioma Innocent, and these are the top stories. It is my turn to be Senate President, Izunaso insists. Release Nnamdi Kanu MASSOB tells President Tinubu. Presidential Election Court admits documents alleging Tinubu's indictment for illicit drugs offences, and the court justifies federal government's no work, no pay rule against ASU. On the foreign scene, Iran tries female journalists who reported on Mahsa Amini's death. Details now. Thank you for staying with us. The world news at 6 begins with the senator-elect from Imo West, Osita Izunaso, saying it is his turn to be the next Senate President. Izunaso urged President Bola Tinubu and the leadership of the All Progressives Congress, APC, to reverse the earlier endorsement of Godswill Akpabio as the next Senate President and endorse him for the position, considering his sacrifices for the development of the party since the formation stage till today. The senator-elect made the call on Monday while speaking with journalists shortly after the interdenominational service held at the Ecumenical Center in Abuja. Izunaso, who is a former National Organizing Secretary of the APC, claimed that he is the most qualified person to lead the upper legislative chamber among the contenders for the Senate presidency. Reacting to this development in a telephone interview is Awa Omiko of the Sunday editorial desk. Let's take a listen to him. Omiko, we have senator-elect from Imo West, Osita Izunaso, saying that he's going to be the next Senate president. He's urging President Bola Tinubu and the leadership of the All Progressives Congress, the APC, to reverse the endorsement of Godswill Akpabio as the next Senate president. Now he's saying because he has put in a lot of work for the APC to get to where it is now. So I'd like to get your reaction to this. Now, you are saying it is my turn. We saw how the Emilokan slogan of Bola Tinubu, and now he is the president. He campaigned on that slogan, even though many people said that was not the right way to go. Can we say that this bringing him into office, and now someone else from the APC is coming up with this same slogan again, saying, it is my turn? I'd like to get your take on that, sir. Are you with me, sir? Can you hear me, sir?
I can hear you. Can you hear me too?
Yes, I can hear you, sir.
When it comes to the issue of the Senate president, you know, there are precedents they have to follow. So Emilokan syndrome or Emilokan agenda may not really work as per that, because there are a lot of lobbying, a lot of other principles, like the how long you've been in the Senate, the experience, and every other thing. There, just like Kanu too is contesting it, Kanu is contesting it, Akpabio is contesting it. Yeah, it all depends on the side which the pendulum slings to. Then if it is if it is the pendulum, if it is just like people are now saying that the Southeast have tested that position for long, and the names of Southeasterners have tested that the only neutral person that is yet to be there is the South. And I think if that principle goes, it means that Akpabio will actually capture it. And by the principle again that the role that Akpabio played during the period of during the campaign and allowing APC to come to power shows that we might not be far from it, that Akpabio may likely get that. On two principles, the time he has spent, experience, money spent, role played during the election of APC and during the election of campaign and electing in Senator Bola Tinubu, and again for the mere reason that the core South people have not been there. That could only work for Akpabio, which surpasses that of Ochikalo. And if you look at that syndrome too, you can see that the northwest is equally agitating for one thing or the other, actually the Senate. So it has to be a game plan, and it all depends on who the president-elect is going to support. But give it to plus or minus, give it a Akpabio, and if you want to be fair, if you want to be bring in equity, if you want to bring in the theory of egalitarianism, if you want to bring in the theory of fairness, you must give it to Akpabio, because he is a newcomer. When I mean a newcomer, I mean his region is a newcomer into the seat, and let that be. And if that could be, it could go a long way to dozen the crisis in the south, and equally the southeast. And if you look at what has just happened in the southeast, out of the rule, only one local government, or just one or two, three, few areas they won. Majority of the southeast is for LP. Tell me, how will the president be so blind to give that, to not to support Akpabio at the extent of Ojuzo? So the idea of is it going to be Akpabio it shouldn't be even a question of chance. It should be a thing. They should be thinking, let it be. Except if there are other underground reasons, which is still not being played out, or that underground reason could be the reasons why Akpabio could be given a higher post. But I didn't say any other post that will go to him other than this. Is he going to be an ambassador? Is he going to be a minister? What else than to be the exalted Senate seat? And that is how I see it.
Meanwhile, the movement for the actualization of the sovereign state of Biafra, MASSOB, today urged the new president of Nigeria, Bola Tinubu, to release Nnamdi Kanu, leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, IPOB, who has been in custody of the Department of State Services, DSS, while his trial continues. MASSOB made the plea today while observing the 56th anniversary of the Biafra Declaration by General Chukwuemeka Odumegwu Ojukwu, the then self-proclaimed president of the Republic of Biafra. The leader of MASSOB, Uchenna Mado, in a statement also remembered, celebrated and commemorated the sacrifice of gallant soldiers of Biafra. He explained that the new struggle for self-determination and restoration of Biafra, anchored by MASSOB and others, is grounded on the principle of non-violence. He therefore demanded the release of Nnamdi Kanu, leader of IPOB, from new President Bola Tinubu, saying the more freedom fighters are politically incarcerated, the more they are hardened and the more their followers become uncontrollable. Also reacting to this in a telephone interview is Awa Omiko of the Sunday editorial desk. Let's take a listen to him.
The movement for the actualization of the sovereign state of Biafra today urging the new president of Nigeria, President Bola Tinubu, to release Nnamdi Kanu, the IPOB leader, the leader of the indigenous people of Biafra, who has been in the custody of the Department of State Service, DSS, ever since his trial has commenced and continues. Now, they made the plea today, they're observing the 56th anniversary of our Biafra Declaration. They are saying that President Bola Ahmed Tinubu should release Nnamdi Kanu, saying that the more freedom fighters are politically incarcerated, the more they are hardened, the more their followers become uncontrollable. Now, we know that the administration of former President Muhammadu Buhari did not yield to the pleas, even when Soludo said, even when Governor Soludo of Anambra State said, release him into my custody, even when the Ohaneze Indigo has been calling for the release of Nnamdi Kanu to the former President Muhammadu Buhari. And now we have President Bola Tinubu, who has just taken the reins of the country for just about 24 hours or even less. Do you think that him releasing Nnamdi Kanu will be a step in the right direction for this new administration?
It will be a very high goal, a very high score, and it will go a very long way to settling the agitation, to calming down the agitation in the southeast. And besides, the issue of southeast shows that government is still not serious about it. Why would a federal government want to tell us that they cannot control activities going on within that enclave? Releasing Nnamdi Kanu is one of the things. Releasing Nnamdi Kanu, then discussions can commence. And besides, IPOD is not a registered organization going by Nigerian situation. But for the main reason that they have come up as a group, as a non-registered group, and government is listening to them. If that government is still listening to them, government then should now begin to do part of their bidding. If government is part of their biddings, I believe you there's going to be peace in that community, that enclave. And not only that, it will go a long way to telling the people that the real comment Tinubu made that said is the president of Nigeria is coming to play. Let there be peace. Let peace reign there. Settle the whole place. Let people believe that you're open-minded.
In the meantime, the presidential election petition court in Abuja today admitted documents in evidence accusing President Bola Tinubu of drug offences in the United States. The court accepted the documents as exhibit in the case filed by the presidential candidate of the Labour Party, Peter Obi, to challenge Tinubu's victory in the February 25 presidential elections. Alleging widespread irregularities during the presidential election and Tinubu's ineligibility to contest the election, Obi is also asking the court to nullify his victory. Tinubu was sworn in as Nigeria's president on Monday, although the cases challenging his election will not be decided until September. When the suit came up today, Obi's lawyer Jibrin Okutepa, a senior advocate of Nigeria, tendered some court documents purporting to be the U.S. court's decision awarding a $460,000 fine against Tinubu for illicit drugs trafficking imposed by the United States District Court, Northern District of Illinois, Eastern Division. He also tendered documents to aid Obi's case of double nomination being pushed against the Vice President Kashim Shettima. After the five-member panel of the court led by Haruna Samani admitted the documents in evidence, Okutepa called his client's first witness. In his depositions, the witness said Tinubu was fined in the U.S. for allegedly trafficking in narcotics. But under cross-examination by Wole Olanikpekun, Tinubu's lawyer, the witness said he would be surprised to know if Tinubu was not fined in the document he tendered to the court. Also, APC's lawyer Lateef Fagbemi, a senior advocate of Nigeria, asked the witness if he was aware that a formal clearance report was issued by a legal attaché of the U.S. Embassy absolving Tinubu of any wrongdoing concerning the alleged crime. In his response, the witness said he was not aware of any clearance report. After the witness concluded his testimony, the court adjourned Obi's petition until Wednesday for further hearing. In In another development, the National Industrial Court has upheld the no work, no pay rule by the federal government in the suit filed against the Academic Staff Union of Universities, ASU. In a judgment delivered by the President of the Court, Justice Benedict Kayib, the court held that the no work, no pay rule enforced by the federal government against the members of ASU who went on strike last year is perfectly legal. According to the court, it is within the right of the federal government to withhold the salaries of workers who embark on industrial action. However, it held that it is a violation of university autonomy for the federal government to impose the Integrated Payroll and Personnel Information System (IPPIS) platform on members of ASU who reserve the right to determine how the salaries could be paid. ASU had on February 14, 2022, embarked on a strike which lasted for 8 months to press home its demands for a better welfare package, revamping of the nation's education sector, amongst others. The strike forced many Nigerian students to stay home, and the government consequently insisted that the lecturers would not be paid for the period. Elsewhere, popular hotel owner Dr. Ramon Adedoyin has been found guilty and sentenced to death by hanging over the murder of Timothy Adegoke, a former student of the Obafemi Awolowo University Ile-Ife, who died between November 5 and 7, 2021 at the Hilton Honors Hotel in Ile-Ife. Also sentenced for the same offense alongside Adedoyin are two of his staff, Adeni Aderoba and Kazim Oyetunde. While delivering her judgment, the Chief Judge of Osun State and the presiding judge of the State High Court, Adepele Ojo, held that the circumstantial evidence available to the court pointed to the killing of Adegoke while being a guest at the hotel owned by Adedoyin. The judge, however, discharged and acquitted 3 of the staff, while the 7 defendants are to hear her sentencing on Wednesday, following pleas by both the prosecution and the defendant counsels. You are currently listening to the World News at 6 on Voice of the People 90.3 FM. After the break, we'll bring the stories on the foreign scene. Foreign scene, 2 Iranian female journalists who helped break the story of Mahsa Amini's death in custody in September have gone on trial before a revolutionary court in Iran. Niloufar Hamedi and Elahem Mohammadi have been charged with collaborating with the hostile US government and propaganda against the establishment. Hamedi's husband said her trial opened in Tehran today, one day after Mohammadi's trial began. The women deny the charges and insist that they were just doing their jobs. Iranian authorities have arrested at least 75 journalists since mass anti-government protests swept across the country in the wake of Mahsa Amini's death, according to Reporters Without Borders. 17 of these journalists, including Ms. Hamadi and Mohammadi, are still in prison. Mahsa Amini died in hospital in Tehran on September 16, 3 days after she was detained by the morality police for allegedly wearing her hijab improperly. Witnesses said the 22-year-old Kurdish woman was beaten while in custody, but authorities blamed sudden heart failure for her death. And that's it on the World News at 6. Just before we wrap up, let's take a look at the main points again. You heard that Izunaso has insisted that it is his turn to be Senate President. You also heard that MASSOB has urged President Tinubu to release Nnamdi Kanu. The Presidential Election Court has admitted documents alleging Tinubu's indictment for illicit drugs offences, and the court has justified the federal government's no work, no pay rule against ASU. On the foreign scene, Iran has tried 2 female journalists who reported on the death of Mahsa Amini. And that is a wrap on the World News at 6. My name is Chioma Innocent. Please follow our social media handles at VOP903FM. For coverage of the live events and brand news mentions on our news bulletins, do send a mail to news@voiceofthepeople.ng. Good evening